That shiny new car smell, it is costing you way more than you think. In fact, buying a brand new car is one of the fastest way to stay broke, even if you have a good income. Now, in today's video, I'm going to break down the math, show you what the payments look like, some of the psychological traps that we see, and also alternatives so you can keep a lot more of your money and actually build wealth instead of watching it just roll away on four wheels. So when we start thinking about cars, it is not just a purchase. It is an emotional decision for a majority of people. Dealers know this. They play the game and creating the feel and the need to buy a brand new ride. But the truth is, every single dollar that you tie up in your vehicle is a dollar you're not investing, you're not saving, you're not paying off debt, you're not creating financial freedom. And the numbers when it comes to these vehicles is absolutely brutal. The biggest thing that we see with new vehicles, instant depreciation. The moment you drive your car off the lot, you are looking at a 10 to 20% value depreciation instantly. That means if you bought that $40,000 car, you could be losing $4,000 to $8,000 before you drive it off the lot or when you drive it off the lot, which is kind of crazy. By the end of year one, you've lost about 20 to 30% of depreciation based on the mileage, and the decline keeps going. Most cars within 5 years have lost 50 to 60% of their regular value within the first 5 years, which is kind of crazy. That's like when you take and you buy that $5 cup of coffee, you take the first sip, then you throw the rest of it away because, hey, your depreciation is already gone. So when we start looking at the numbers, and I do this on a regular basis, most of you know I do work in the financial industry, looking at loans and looking and really building out what people have. And I want to use some numbers of averages. So let me hop over here, guys, and I want to show you kind of what this looks like. Now, average wise, auto loan calculator, hop over to, and I believe this is NerdWallet, auto loan calculator. So these are the averages. So thinking of where you are right now, with an auto loan calculator, we'll estimate the payment. So average as it sits right now, according to the end of Q2 of 2025, average new car price is $42,000, 388 bucks. So think about that. You're spending 42K, again, using our mathematical equation of depreciation, you are losing about $4,000 to $8,000 rate driving off the lot, which is kind of crazy. Interest rate, again, on average was about 6.5%. Loan term on average was 68 payments, putting your monthly payment at $751, which is crazy. Now, even in this scenario, thinking of a new vehicle at that 42K, thinking of your interest rate at 6.73, this is where a lot of the math and a lot of the understanding comes out, because when you look at the interest rate, if that is about the average, if you have better credit, right now it's about 5.5%. If you have worse credit, I've seen credit that is going up to 16, 18, 22, 25%. Credit is going to have a massive effect on your ability to pay because it is going to change your payment a lot. Now, you also have to remember when it comes to this monthly payment, and again, thinking of the average of the 751, this doesn't include insurance that is in there. You're still going to have to pay for car insurance. You might have to pay for maintenance. You're going to have to pay for gas. When you look at the total of a monthly payment just to own a vehicle that'll take you from point A to point B, you're probably looking north of $1,000 for a monthly payment when you look all inclusive on what the car is. The monthly payment, of course, is not the only part of the car that you have to pay for. There are a lot of other things that are kind of costs that are associated with it that people need to be aware of. Now, think about this for a minute. If your monthly payment is $751, let's say your insurance is around $200, then you add in everything. Okay, you're north of $1,000. But what if you bought a used car? What if you bought something, let's say that was $18,000 to $20,000, probably looking at 2 or 3 years old? So this is where the number game really comes in. So if you are shopping for a new car, you have to do this. And I really urge you to do this long before you go to the dealer, is look at your budget. Now, if you don't have a budget, we got a couple videos out there, definitely creating the budget and saying, hey, how much for a monthly payment can I avoid or can I avoid paying, or what can I afford? If you're staying in a realm of, let's say my payment cannot exceed $400, you have to stick to that, guys. So what a lot of people do, and I want to kind of show you as well, the manipulation of numbers that we see. So right now we're going to stick with the same vehicle. So we're at 42. Let's say you have perfect, you have A+ credit. We're going to go with the 5.49. So your payment comes down a little bit, but then we of course play with the term. This is what a lot of dealerships do, where if they come back and say, hey, your monthly payment is $726 a month, and you're like, good God, I cannot afford that by any means. Okay, well, let's take it to 75 months. Now we got you down to 688, still a little bit too high. Let's take you to 84 months. Oh, that's right. We got your car now to $600. We even have local credit unions here in Michigan that are doing 96 months of financing. Now, when you think of cars and the ability for a car to last 96 months to pay this off, and this again is kind of crazy because you start looking at the interest cost on a $42,000 car, you're paying over $10,000 in interest, which is kind of crazy when you look at how much is actually going to be calculated in here in that monthly payment. But they come back and they say, hey, here's your monthly payment, $546. How does that sound? Sounds great. Exactly where I wanted to be. Your term is 96 months. And most people do not care about the interest rate. And again, I've been doing loans for 20 years. Most people do not care about the interest rate. Most people do not care about the loan term. They care about monthly payment and monthly payment only. That is really the focus. So again, thinking of this where if we're again manipulating the term, if you go to 60 months, you're at $809 a month, which again is kind of crazy. But then when you start thinking of if you don't have that perfect credit, let's say instead of a 5% rate, you have, BC credit, they're going to move it up to, let's say 10%. Now on a shorter term, 60 months, you're at $900 a month. Again, that's not going to work. Let's go 72. Okay, your payment drops a little bit, but you'll also notice the interest cost is just going through the roof. When you look at an 84, we're at 16,000. If we go back to that 96 term, for a $42,000 car, you are paying $20,000 in interest over that 96 months term, which is kind of crazy. Now, let's say, for instance, you do have poor credit and you're looking at a 15, maybe 18% interest rate. You're paying $42,000 for a car, $37,000 in interest at that 18%. And again, for me, 18% isn't even the highest that I have seen interest rates on auto loans, which again, the used option. So I want to run through this scenario again and kind of looking at the used option. Now, of course, interest rate's going to be a big driving factor. Loan term is going to be a big driving factor. But now, let's say, for instance, instead of a $42,000 car, we're looking for one that is gently used. We want to say around $20,000. So if you're at $20,000, think of that. Your monthly payment, again, kind of looking at averages, $381. Now, the gap between that $750 and that $381 is really opportunity cost on where can you spend that money. Now, if you also remember in our scenario, we were running about $10,000 in interest. Looking at a $20,000 car, you're looking at $2,900. That's a far cry and a massive difference from the $10,000 just on $20,000 loan amount, or $23,000 less. When it comes to building out a loan, you have to know, and again, most people are driven by that monthly payment, know exactly what works into your budget and what kind of monthly payment that you're looking for. And honestly, when you start looking at vehicles, if you can stay in about the 20 to 25 range with good credit, you can find vehicles that are incredibly low miles. We're currently looking right now for a vehicle, just a used vehicle, 2-3 years old, that has about 40 to 50,000 miles, so gently used. And again, cutting my payment in half. That half in that 381 versus the 750 gives me a couple $100 buffer. That couple $100 buffer is going to cover my gas, going to cover my maintenance, going to cover my insurance, still leaving me money left over to pay down this loan quicker. Because of course, the payment, if it's 381, if I paid, let's say $500 a month, that is going to affect the loan term, taking it to, let's say 54. Nope, even shorter. So let's do 42, 40, maybe 44. There we go. So if I'm paying $500 a month, not only is the loan getting paid off in 44 months instead of those 60 months, I am also saving money right there in my interest costs, because this is going to be eliminated faster, giving me the ability and alleviating this monthly payment so I can take the money and I can actually invest the money elsewhere, which is exactly what we're looking to do. Is the way that we can move money and the way that we can essentially have money in that avenue really does make a big difference. Now, also, like I said, insurance, taxes, fees, going to be higher on a new vehicle, of course. Then we look at the psychological trap. This is something humans, super emotional when it comes to car buying. They look at it as they deserve, and that is what car companies are looking for. That is why you see the marketing, you see the advertisements. New cars are equated with success. This is the psychological factor. In reality, it is often a sign of financial strain for most people, meaning they're getting and really overextending themselves with the monthly payment and the cost of the vehicles themselves, When you look at Warren Buffett, still drives a car that is multiple years old, can afford a new one, understands the value. It's not about the vanity. It is about getting from point A to point B. Now, my wife and I, we both have 2017 cars right now. So they are a couple years old, again, in good repair. We haven't had car payments for about 6 years, which is incredible, giving us 6 years and giving us the opportunity to invest that money elsewhere. Now, when it comes to opportunity cost, every $1,000 your car is losing in depreciation is $1,000 you could be growing in investment, because dollar for dollar, every dollar has a purpose. You have to know what it's going for. Over decades, this could be potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're losing with the vehicle, with depreciation that you have in there. And cars are also a huge liability. They're taking money out of your pocket every single month, taking money out of your paycheck. Is it an asset? Not really, because it's a very big depreciating asset. It might have a little bit of value, but essentially think of it this way. If I went in and I bought a stock and I knew that every single year my stock was going to go down considerably, 10, 15% every single year as I held the stock, again, buying the expensive vehicles. And when you start thinking 60, 80, 100, $120,000 vehicles, the depreciation in the numbers just get exponentially larger and larger. So what is the reality? The average car on the road is over 12 years old as it is today. Many are still remaining strong, meaning that if you're buying a car that is 3 to 5 years old, you could probably get another 5 to 7 years out of that at half the cost or even less of the cost. Safety features, reliability still going well with some of these without taking that massive depreciation hit when you actually buy it. A lot of the vehicles that are just slightly used, again, 2 or 3 years, certified pre-owned vehicles, you can even get warranties on them. You can also buy additional warranties if you wanted to. So how do we break this cycle? So when it comes to this, if you're currently in a very big car payment, first is assess and see what you can get for the car. Most people will quickly realize that if you have a large car payment, if it is something that is unmanageable, when you try to get away from it or get rid of it to get something cheaper, sometimes it can't. Sometimes you're underwater because of the depreciation aspect that we see, but also committing to saving money for the next car, putting cash down on the next car, maybe even paying cash for the next car is going to make a big difference if you have it, and really financing it. Aim for a shorter term. Don't do the 60 months, the 72, the 84, the 96 months. It really makes a big difference. Focusing on transportation that meets your needs, not just your ego, and really building out and having that big car. Now, of course, your car is a tool. It shouldn't be a status symbol. It shouldn't be a financial anchor. The day you stop letting your car payments really drain your wallet is the day you start building wealth and getting right here to that debt-free journey that we always look for. Don't let the shiny paint and the new car smell really detract you from those financial goals, driving smarter with those used vehicles so you can live free and be completely debt-free later. Now, if you found the video helpful, definitely hit that like button so YouTube knows that it is worth sharing to other people. Subscribe for more ways to make the money work for you, not for the dealership. And tell me in the comment, what is the oldest car that you have ever owned? For me, I am 45 years old. I have owned 4 cars in my life since I've been driving at 16. So I have kept them for an extended amount of time. And I believe my oldest was about 12 years old. So again, driving a well-maintained vehicle that is 12 years old did work incredibly well. Didn't have a car payment for an extended amount of time. Saved up enough cash not having a car payment to purchase the new car just for cash being done right out the door. If the car is $30,000, I paid $30,000. I didn't have to pay those interest charges, making it an absolute game changer. Sorry, guys. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.